Day of June 2025. My name is Kurt. This is my daily good life meditation. I'm coming to you from the grounds of the Prefectural Art Museum, which is there, the Prefectural Library of Shizuoka, which is there, and the Prefectural University behind the trees in this enormous parklands here. This is just above our house. This is where we walk our dogs every day. So our house is just right down there, just a few minutes walk. I come up here with the dogs 3 times a day at least, and we just kind of wander through the various parklands up here. I think it has good connectivity, or sufficient connectivity throughout to do this. So I'll do that here today instead of going up into the Satoyama to the temple. Why? Because, well, I'm just not feeling good. I overdid it yesterday, for sure, in terms of physical activity. And discovered that at 61, my body very quickly says, whoa, dude, if I try to overdo anything. And this is the second day in a row. Yesterday was the second day in a row that we usually take a very long dog walk at the conclusion of the day after dinner with sister-in-law Yoko. Very long walk. I just wasn't up to it. So I took Rudy on a short walk so that he could do his business, and then went home, and I still haven't recovered today. Whew. So I decided to take this short course here. This is the library, and then the parklands are up there, and that's the Rodin, that dome up there. That's the permanent exhibition of the Rodin museum. Augusta Rodin, which is charming to me, or exciting to me, because I'm still reading Moby Dick, and I ran across a section in it when he was talking about the narrator in the book, Ishmael, was talking about the nooses over the 6 burgers, the necks over the 6 burgers of, I can't remember which was, burgers of Munster or something like that. And I didn't know what that reference meant. So I talked to ChatGPT about it, and it told me that that was a reference to there was a conqueror of this town, I think it was in Germany, who, before sieging the town, told the leaders they would send out 6 leaders of the community with nooses around their necks to be hung, that he would spare the rest of the city. So the 6 burgers, the leaders of the city, came out with the nooses to be hung, but the conqueror was so impressed that he set them free. He was impressed by their bravery. And then ChatGPT went on to add, there's a statue, or a casting by Rodin of that scene. And I had remembered this museum right here, which you can see right here. That's it right there, which is just exclusively for Rodin. And I had remembered, I thought I had seen, when I had toured it, a statue of 6 men, or at least men with nooses around their necks. So I checked further, and it turns out that there's only 6 castings, 6 official castings of that statue, and that the 6th and final one is indeed inside that building. So that was an interesting little, cool convergence of my reading, my research, in my backyard. Anyway, I'm way off topic. Hold on, there's someone here. I don't want to make them comfortable. How does that mess? So, hold the camera down. This is, if you're, let me do my usual disclaimer stuff. Welcome to the channel if you're new to the channel. And be forewarned, I do talk about sensitive subjects here. And also a huge thank you for your support, which makes it possible for me to do a lot of things, such as the adventures that I have here. Hi, Zamas. Now with that, I'm going to do 3 things now. Talk about the last 24 hours and how I did with any interesting circumstances that arose, namely challenges or opportunities. Then I'll review my creed to align my compass, so to speak. Isn't this pleasant? And then I'll talk about what I plan to do today. So first, yesterday, slept great last night. Had a really good day yesterday. Hugely productive day. Boy, my little antique business is doing well. It's keeping me, that might be part of it. That might be part of why I'm so exhausted. Not only did I have a lot of physical activity, isn't this lovely? Wow. Not only did I have a huge amount of physical activity yesterday, but I was also very busy running my little business, which I'm very pleased with. So that might have been part of it. Further discovering and disclosing the source of my exhaustion. So, as for anything interesting yesterday, there was one thing. Now, I'm not going to talk particulars or details, only for this one. I usually am quite open about stuff, but sometimes when it comes to, I'm quite open about my stuff, but I'm not open about other people's stuff. So this involved someone else in my life, and I saw before me an opportunity for some very mature behavior. Look at that little flowery-like insect right there. That white thing there is actually an insect. If I try to touch it, it'll hop away. These big leaves here are great places to spot insects in the morning and spiders. But still a little too cool, maybe. So I had this great opportunity, and it was been a couple of weeks in the making that I've been thinking about it. It was an opportunity to outline a scheme, and more importantly, to execute that scheme to improve someone's life, the quality therein. I used to come here with my wife and daughter when Emily was little. We would have a picnic here on these steps. It looks like it's due for a haircut, and Emily would run up and down these steps. So big deal, right? So you had an opportunity, you thought of a way to improve someone's quality of someone's life through, no more effort on my part than performing a couple of actions and engaging in a couple of things. And let me take a sit down for a second. On this new bench, they just made, oh, here comes someone, a woman. I don't want to make her feel uncomfortable. I'm going to put the camera down for a second. You guys can look at the sky. So, why am I bringing this up? Well, the opportunity and the execution of this opportunity is in perfect alignment with my objectives, namely my objectives, hashtag the good use of time, and hashtag improving or performance of good actions. I was able to strike both of those head on by formulating a plan and executing the plan. And it was a little bit hard for me, I'll confess. Why was it hard? Well, mostly because of my poor Japanese skills. I had to I had to face that head on, um, because I had to do it all in Japanese. Um, and I mean, I'm starting to trespass into the area of giving more information than I like to. But the person with whom I was doing this, not only do they speak no English at all, their Japanese is impossible to understand. Even for Japanese people, tell me that this person's Japanese is very difficult for Japanese people to understand. So so I'm very nervous well, I'm not genuinely nervous when I speak Japanese at all. I'm I'm pretty courageous when it comes to it. I just do it because I don't mind. I don't mind. Because I think the reason that I'm courageous when it comes to Japanese is because I can nearly always facilitate my ends. I can get to the result because I'm a results kind of a guy. And though maybe I should be more sensitive to the assault that I'm laying upon the ears of the Japanese when they have to listen to my poor speaking, that doesn't bother me too much because I know I can get done what I need to do. By hook or crook, I'll do it in Japanese. So I don't mind doing that. But when I speak to this particular person, I'm literally, it's like coming up against a stone wall because their Japanese is indecipherable to me. And like I said, Japanese people who have met this person have come away and said, "Wow, you know, they speak Japanese that are like from the past or something like that." Even others that within the family. So I've probably given a little more information than I need to, but you get the idea. So I had to screw up the courage. It took me a couple of days to screw up the courage to face that. And I forgot to tell you one more thing. And I will go so far as to say this person is a family member. Um, the one thing that I am quite loath to do when it comes to Japanese, one of the things that's the great obstacles for me is I don't want to be an inconvenience to others insofar as getting them to come to my rescue or aid, right? Like for example, the people that the people that hear me speak Japanese the least are my family because they'll rescue me, right? If I'm out and about and I'm struggling with someone talking to them in Japanese and my wife is there, um, she understands that I don't want to be rescued, but she will to help me out of a sticky situation. I don't want to be rescued. I don't want anybody to help me. And as a result, I don't speak Japanese too much around my family so that I can avoid that situation. So it was a double whammy. I had to execute this plan of doing something that I thought was nice. I had to talk one-on-one with someone that I can't understand in the presence of people who I'm loath to inconvenience. You see my dilemma? But I buckled up to it. It took me a couple of days to screw up the courage, and I did it. I did it yesterday, and it went really well. And part of the reason that it went really well was I also hashtag limits. It's one of my principles, is the principle of recognizing true limits and true opportunity. I thought a little bit about how I should expect this person to respond because I know how I would kind of expect to respond if someone made an effort like that with me. I might be grateful and engaging. And I said, well, this person's not going to give off any indications of gratitude, and they're likely to be very little engaged. Yet, it's a little bit like strong vinegar. It just takes a little bit to get the job done, or strong wasabi, or whatever you want. I tempered my expectations with that, so I went into it ready to face down the fact that this is going to be a hard one, hard for the Japanese, and hard one for me in terms of the Japanese. I'd have to do it in the presence of someone who I don't want to inconvenience, and although this is a big hurdle for me, I shouldn't expect much in return. And because I had planned it all out and I had forecast the result, I got exactly what I deserved. Yet I know that, like strong wasabi or strong vinegar, the potency was there. Now, what's really good about this is that now I have a formula that works. I know how to do it. I've practiced it. This wasn't the first time. I kind of had a tentative practice a few weeks ago when I tried this out. I broke through. I got the inertia now. Now I can do it as often as I want. And I think I'm ready. So it sounds like just a minor little one-off incident, but the result should be, if I can keep, and I will keep this up, something of an improvement of quality of life for this person insofar as enlivening the experience of life. Himself. Because this is another thing. Okay, I'm gonna complicate things just a little bit. So I started doing this morning exercise thing with the neighbors, and I've done it twice today. In fact, in about half an hour will be the third time, and I've quickly gotten to know the people in the group, including one person who I thought was a hermit in the neighborhood, and seen him only in passing. And he and I talked. He doesn't speak English at all. After yesterday's exercise, it turns out he's my neighbor, but he's not close enough to live. He doesn't live close enough that, when you move into a neighborhood in Japan, you go around and you give gifts. He's not that close. So he's like on the next block over, but our houses kind of abut, across the meadow. I can see his house across the meadow. Well, let me just put it this way. If you follow my social media feed, you places across the house. One of them really looks Akio, but it's not, because there's one person that lives there, and the only sign of life you'll ever see in there is a lone light on the second floor at night. And I've seen him, and his backyard is all overgrown, and he's not incapable. He's not incapacitated. He gets up, he walks, does morning exercise every morning. But so it just happened yesterday, walking back, that we were walking together. So we were talking in Japanese, and turns out he's a pleasant enough fellow, just incredibly shy. And I was thinking that yesterday, after we had that nice interaction, I know he likes to drink beer because I see the beer cans that he stacks up to take to the recycling thing. I know what kind of beer he likes. I was thinking about bringing him a beer, and I might still do this. But then another part of me was thinking, sometimes people, sure there are cases where there are old people who are genuinely alone and lonely, and he lives alone. And he gave me some subtle hints that, he might not necessarily enjoy being alone as well. But okay, now I probably will do this, and that I need to take, so I'll maybe take him, drop him off a beer from the Family Mart. And then there's the guy in the mountains. I need to bring him the cigarettes because he shared his cigarettes with me. So I'm starting to make connections. But then a little part of me was also saying, Kurt, sometimes people are in these circumstances, and to the outsider it might seem like, kawaii, so too bad for them. Like someone might look at me and see, I don't really have friends anymore. I mean, I talk to all you, but it's a one-way street for the most part, except for responding to comments. I'm very close with my wife. I hardly see my daughter anymore because she's grown and out on her own, but that's to be expected, right? Anyone else in my life is incidental. Once in a while, I don't get together with people. I don't do stuff. But the thing is, and someone might look at me and say, "Oh, kawaii so," which means like, poor thing. Too bad. Kurt doesn't have any friends. What the thing is, this is exactly how I want it. And Yumiko's the same way. We were very social in our 20s and 30s. We had large connections of friends that we shared, the friends that each of us had on our own, that we did stuff with and connected with, and that started to trickle out in the 40s. and then in our 50s, we kind of settled into this. Well, the 50s were the hard crunch years where we were just focused, head down, buckled in, focused on finishing our roles as parents and employees. We don't want any. And I don't want, if someone came over to my house, knocked on the door and said, "Hey, let's go for a walk, Kurt, and talk," I'd be like, "No, thank you." So I had to remember that. Because what if I go over to this guy's house, he seems alone, and I go, bing bong, I got a beer, and you want to socialize? Maybe he's like me. He doesn't want to have anything to do with that, right? I mean, sure, it may suck alone time. It might suck even more to have to spend time with people. So I had to remind myself, because that's how I am. I don't want to spend time with people. Why would I assume that just because he's alone that he wants to spend time with people? That's not a fair assumption. It would be a fair thing to do as a gesture of neighborly friendliness to say hello to him when I pass by, because I see him sometimes. I know his name. Yesterday he was out. I actually saw him yesterday. He was out puddling around doing something in the front porch there. And unlike any Japanese I'd ever seen, he was just wearing his underwear. I think he was going out to do something. He was actually out on kind of outdoors. Oh no, I shouldn't say that. My father-in-law does that too, or at least he used to. Anyway, I'm off target. So I'll extend that. I have to remember the same thing about this, circling all the way back to the thing I said about before. Okay, I did something yesterday that I'm proud of because I think it improved the quality of life for someone in my life, in a very small sense. It took a lot out of me to figure out how to do that, to overcome my restraints, my difficulties with Japanese, with the possibility with being possibly imposing on my family. Yet it had good result. But the point is, I need to remember, I shouldn't assume that very act is a virtuous thing any more than it is received. Like if I do it again, and I will today probably, I'm going to be very, very careful to monitor how it does. It's like if this person gives me signs, like yesterday, I didn't expect a good receipt because this person's incapable. They're just, by way of where they are, they're just incapable. It's the type of person that never says thank you or acknowledges things really, but deep inside they are appreciative. So you have to, I know that about this person. So I can kind of gauge it. If I do it again today and then tomorrow, and I can sense kind of like, oh geez, we're going through this again? Doesn't Kato understand that I don't want any of that? Then I need to back off. I made my effort, right? That's the better part of diplomacy. Okay, so I talked a long time about something that was very interesting yesterday for me, which I got to deploy. I got to deploy reason, one of my principles, in the direction of the social principle and the principle of family. This was a family member, to achieve the objective of hashtag good use of time in the further pursuit of hashtag performing good actions. Now I need to employ hashtag limits and opportunity to keep in mind whether or not this thing that I've come up with as I continue to do it is well received. Because even though I might want to do this thing to make this person's life better, they may not want me to be doing such a thing. And I need to be sensitive to that. Okay, enough of that. So I already talked a lot about how yesterday was an incredibly busy day. I was working very hard. I worked very hard yesterday. I would call that yesterday as a full day of work. First full day of work since I've really resolved to enjoy, because there it is. It's funny how I use that word. It just flowed out. Not to do my work, but to enjoy my work. Because I really am enjoying this. Largely because I can do it all on my terms, the way I want to. It's like having a. I'll muddy the waters if I try to elaborate on that anymore. but not being constrained by needing to make money. I can run my business the way I want the business to keep it fun and interesting and pleasant. Like yesterday, one of the things I did yesterday was I was shipping an order. Someone bought a pretty big order yesterday. Included a lot of tea, and I was packing their order and getting ready to go to the post office. And I have a bag of, treats that I include. I like to, instead of using packing materials, I like to fill the box with goodies, little candies and stuff like that. So they open it up and it's like Christmas Day, right? They got candies and stuff, and there's their order, yay. But then I was thinking, and I was throwing stuff in there, like little senbeis, but they were cheaper senbeis, smaller little packages. I was thinking, wait a minute, this person bought a lot of really good tea. They deserve some really good senbei crackers to go with it. Senbei are these little rice crackers that you can enjoy with the tea. So I said, okay, well, I just put it all aside. I said, stop the shipping. I'll get in the car and I'll drive to the store and I'll get a big bag, a 200-gram bag of senbei crackers. They're good, a mixed variety to include with this person's order of tea so that they can enjoy their Shizuoka green tea with rice crackers, which we enjoy our tea with. Now, back in the day, as in when I was doing this antique business for a business, for a real deal, I couldn't afford to do that. I literally couldn't afford it, and I couldn't afford the time because the postman was coming at usually at 4:30 in the afternoon back then. I was working a business. I had to keep moving. I had to keep churning orders to make a profit to sustain my family. Now I don't have to do that with this business. I can just say, well, the hell with it. I'll just stop the presses. I told you, Miko, I'm going to the store, and it's a little bit expensive to buy the bag of. It kind of cuts into my profit margin, but oh well. I got to do the right thing. I got to, I don't know if it's the right thing. I got to do the thing that I wanted to do to give my customer a great experience with their order. And so that really settled into me, that being able to run my business like that versus the way I previously described it has made a big difference in terms of my enjoying this work. Nevertheless, boy, I hit the wall. And like I said, if you're just coming to this now, I crashed last night early, and I'm still feeling it this morning. So that's why I'm on this short course. Speaking of which, let's continue to walk. These are the trails behind my house at the Prefectural Art Museum. I'm gonna make my way down. I got the morning exercise to join in 15, 20 minutes, something like that. All right. I covered yesterday. Now let's do the creed. My 8 objectives are to be always ready to die, to make good and effective use of my time, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to perform good actions, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities, and to do just one thing at a time, and do that thing slowly and deliberately and carefully. All right. Now, as for today, it's Saturday. I think that the plan is that I think it's Father's Day. I think we're going out tonight, someplace that my wife's dad likes. I'm not particular, so any place is fine with me. And so the day will kind of revolve around that. I'm kind of hoping to go to my favorite antique store. Is this worm still alive? Barely. Let's get you in the green. The rain is coming later. If I can get you down deep in the green there, maybe that'll revive you later. There's our favorite antique store, Yuichiro, in Shizuoka, which was built in an old Showa era apartment building, and the whole antique store is in one of the units. The owners own the whole building. It's only a 4-unit building, and they're converting the one of the units in the front of the building into a cafe. Now, the cafe isn't done yet, but we're actually friends with these people. We go there often, at least once a month, and follow each other on social media, and etc. I buy a lot of the stuff that's in my store comes from them, and they have good taste. Oh my gosh, they're my Japan Antique Senpai. They have great taste. So they have their apartment. So I go there. I go there looking for stuff for you guys because I go there. I go so looking for stuff that I like that I want to have in the house that I then list and you can buy. So I'm like the Yuichiro ambassador. Let's go wander into this forest here. Big bamboo forest. Check this out. Anyway, I'd like to go there today or tomorrow if we can. Because I'm actually running out of antiques. I've got like 6 items left to list. Well, I plan to list 3 of them today. And maybe the other 3 tomorrow, and I'll need more. All right, so as for today, my plan for today is to get down and do the radio exercise in just a few minutes. Then I'll go home. I'll have walk the dogs, have some breakfast. Yumiko's great breakfast will always make me feel better. And then I'm going to list items. I've got an order to ship. Although I don't know if the post office is open today. I haven't